Okay. All right. So we're talking about the difference between a wholesale customer and a wellness advocate. Okay. So preferred members are no longer around. Like that account is not an option anymore. And then we have the, okay, so a wholesale customer cannot have a downline, but they have all the other benefits of their membership, right? So they can purchase at 25% off, they can be on LRP, but they're not allowed to sell anything to anybody or enroll anybody. However, they can upgrade to a wellness advocate at any point in time, and they can do it on their back office, which I think is awesome because if you guys remember, like when you had to upgrade from a preferred member to a wellness advocate, you had to call in and pay the difference. Anyway, so I think this is a nice fix. So they can just do it on their back office. So all they have to do is enter in their social security number. And so for Kat, I'm assuming for you guys it's the social insurance number. Is that what they do?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So I heard that when you enroll somebody as a wholesale customer, then they have a wait period before they can switch.
Yeah. Okay. Glad you brought that up because that's something I wanted to address. So, okay. So when you enroll somebody, whether it's as a wellness advocate or a wholesale customer, you have 14 days to move them, and your first day actually starts the day that they enroll. If they upgrade from a wholesale customer to a wellness advocate in their first 90 days, they stay where they are in your organization. If they upgrade after their 90 days, you have an additional 14 days to move them wherever you want to in your organization. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat it one more time so I follow it?
Sure. Okay. So if somebody enrolls as a wholesale customer, you have 14 days to move them wherever you want to go. If they upgrade to a wellness advocate before their first 90 days are up, they stay where they are in your organization. If it's after their first 90 days, then you have an additional 14 days to move them somewhere else in your organization. Does that make sense, Kitty?
I think I got it, yeah.
Okay. It's kind of confusing, and there has been a lot of confusion around this. Honestly, I had to look some stuff up and read about it because I was getting conflicting answers from people too. So
right.
It is confusing. So
is the commission the same with the wholesale member then? Like, because preferred members would stay on the front line, correct?
Right.
And you would get 15% on all their purchases?
Right.
So as a wholesale member, I guess they do not stay on your front line. You can still place them, but you still only get paid fast starts on the first 2 months?
Nope. Yes, you only get paid fast starts on the first 60 days like you would if it was a wellness advocate. Everything, the payout is all the same as a wellness advocate.
Okay.
So it's not because you're right, commissions were different for preferred members and that made it really confusing. So so the commissions are all the same. Then this is the part that I didn't know that I actually just learned today, is that if somebody enrolls as a wellness advocate and they do not enroll anybody in their first year, they have nobody placed underneath of them, they actually are turned, at their 1 year mark, at their anniversary mark, they turn into a wholesale customer.
So will they appear
sense?
differently on your genealogy and stuff on your dashboard then? Like
yes.
Their color and their person?
Yep. Because they turn green. If it's a wholesale customer, they're green on your back office. So that part I didn't know. So if somebody wants to downgrade to a wholesale customer, the only time they can do it is when it automatically happens at their 1 year mark if they have no downline. So does everybody get that? It's a little confusing with all these new little ins and outs.
Yeah, if they don't have a downline, they can be bumped down. But if they already have a downline and they become inactive, that doesn't change their position then?
No.
Right.
So if they have a downline, they will stay a wellness advocate.
Okay, so I have a question.
If they have no downline, then they get turned to a wholesale customer. Yeah.
So if they automatically get bumped down to a wellness wholesale customer after that year, will they have an option after that to upgrade again if they choose?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But wait a second. They have to wait. Brandon's telling me more info on this. But say they hit their 1 year mark and they're downgraded. Okay, so if they've been downgraded, say they hit a year and they've been downgraded to a wholesale customer and they want to upgrade to a wellness advocate, they have to wait 90 days. That doesn't make any sense. Why do they have to wait 90 days? They just do.
Because
Like say they have somebody ready to enroll, that's not fair.
well, because you have potential to move them again. So instead of people downgrading and doing that quickly, that's what they told me. So.
Huh. Okay, that one doesn't make sense to me, but apparently that's what it is. So did everybody understand why they've implemented this change? It's kind of interesting to hear why.
I haven't heard why.
You haven't heard why? Okay. I'm going to have Brendan explain why, because he's got a better grip on that, or he can explain it better than me.
Okay, so just like doTERRA, they want to keep on top of everything, just like they did with the FDA and everything that went on that way, and just how good we are, with the FDA now. So basically, what it comes down to is there's a little bit of a shift in the network marketing MLM world. Herbalife just kind of got rocked. The FTC, so the Federal Trade Commission, came in and basically said they had too many complaints and too many things going on, which doTERRA doesn't have those kind of things happening. But basically, the FTC came in and basically levied on them, here's what you guys have to do to stay a business. And so doTERRA is kind of seeing maybe this is the writing on the wall, this is the way that, this is the way it's going, and so we're gonna kind of play it that way. So basically, the FTC came into Herbalife and said, unless you have 60% customer base and you can show the difference between a customer and one of your your builders, that person can't get paid. So there's a lot of people that all of a sudden 1 week they just, or the next month they can't get a check from Herbalife. They've built organizations, they've done all that stuff, and so doTERRA, it's gone back and forth. I follow a MLM lawyer, and he's said back and forth, 100 different ways, but basically doTERRA is trying to make sure that if something like that were to ever happen, or if this is something that transitions to be the norm, that doTERRA is in good shape. And that you guys and us, and everyone is safe and isn't going to have that kind of an issue of, oh my gosh, we're not going to get paid this week or this month or whatever. So like always, doTERRA is awesome and trying to staying ahead of the game as far as that goes. So that's pretty much what it comes down to.
So does that sound good? Does anybody have any questions about that? I like that they're always one step ahead in getting those things implemented so that before we have to worry about it.
I have a question. Yeah, people who are already preferred members, will they remain preferred members?
I don't know. I thought they were going to be switched over to wholesale customers.
My understanding was that they're going to be wholesale customers eventually, but I don't know what the time.
I know, and I don't know when that's happening, but that was the word, that eventually they were going to be switched over to wholesale customers. And I wonder,
would they have to pay like do wholesale customers have to pay a year membership, or is?
And that I don't know. You know what? That's a good question. So we should write. I'm gonna I need a piece of paper and a pencil. So I can go write that down, and I'm going to contact them, or well, I'll finish reading through some more stuff because there's a lot of papers that explain it all. So I need to read through all of it and then call my account manager and ask, because I don't know. Because then my question would be too, then if they are upgraded to a wholesale customer, then are we able to move them? Or do they stay as preferred members? Because that was originally the contract they entered in, right? Because they originally just wanted to pay that one-time fee and not have to renew their membership. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's good. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one yet.
Okay.
So preferred members. All right, a question mark. So it looks like Kaylee, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. You said you missed all that. You'll have to call later. I can still see you're on, though. I hope everything's okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's still super new, right? And there's so many things we're trying to figure out about it still. We're learning. So, but yeah, any other questions, let me know, and we'll find an answer for you if I don't know it. One thing that I thought was interesting, it was a wholesale customer, and this is random, but is not able to purchase more than $5,000 worth of product in a year, because then it's considered a business. So they have to upgrade to a loans advocate at that point. So if you have any really big spenders, they have to be a loans advocate. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I see. Oh, good. Kaylee's on. She can hear. I see. Her kids are screaming. Darn those kids. Okay. So then we were just going to get into some placement questions. This is like, placements, guys. It's the hardest thing. My best advice to you is to always talk it out with somebody. Like if we have anybody that's not crystal clear where it's going to go, we still call Sheree and talk it through with her and be like, okay, where should we put this person? This is where we're thinking. Does that make sense to you? Because placements are just so hard. And know that it does get a little bit easier, I guess, as your team grows, but it doesn't at the same time. So obviously the biggest advice there, and it's so hard, but to not give up enrollership on people when you're placing them under other people, unless that person has earned that enrollership and needs it for rank advancement. But I would just keep it until you absolutely need to give it over, because you just never know what is going to happen. And then it's best to try to place people only under people who are building, but that's not always the case. There's so many shades of gray with placements. There's no black and white.
In the
beginning.
It's the hardest because you don't know who's going to build. You don't have builders. That was my biggest thing is
true. And you've got nowhere to place anybody except on your front line, right? Like you don't have a choice to put. You're like, okay, well, you're here on my front line because I just started and that's where you're going. Mm-hmm. And you don't really want to build under anybody until you have like people on LRP and people interested in hosting a class. But you're right. It is so hard.
Yeah.
I
only have a couple builders. Well, yeah, I've got a couple, but I won't put anybody under anybody that is not regularly doing 100 PV. But I'm starting to get to where I'm like back to where do I place people? So this is
right. Where do you put them?
I don't know where I'm going to place people now. Again.
Right. And it's so hard, right? Because I usually go a lot of times with, like Stacey just said, I won't place somebody under anybody unless they're ordering 100, or unless it was that person's direct referral, of course. Like if somebody gave me a referral, I'm going to place that person underneath of the person who referred, if possible, right? If they are a wellness advocate.
Right.
Just because if they ever decide to do the business down the road, that would be so messy if they didn't have that person placed under them. But sometimes there are people, like, especially now, if they're not a wellness advocate and they like definitely don't want to be doing the business, then that makes it like, oh my gosh, you can put this person anywhere, which almost makes it harder, right? If you can put them anywhere. But yeah, I am all about the structural bonuses. Like if you're just placing people just for the sake of placing them, I mean, this like structural bonuses, meaning power of 3, is it honestly, guys, is like the best paycheck, and other things will happen because that's there, if that makes sense. Like ranks will start to happen if power of 3 is in place. But it's just there's that 1,500 bonus is like the best bonus there is out there, other than diamonds, right? But it's great. So that's when I love to recommend people, I guess, for placing people. But Kaylee, do you have any questions specifically? Because I know you're the one who requested this topic, so I want to make sure we have your questions answered.
I feel like I'm stretching outward and not down per se, and I'm not even getting my 50 bonus. So I guess I'm wondering how to start structuring so that happens.
Yeah. So, well, it's hard because if you, like, for instance, you've got one leader on your front line, right? But do you have another one yet?
No.
Okay. So it's so hard because Tasha says, like, she's been kind of teaching about this a little bit, and she's like, you keep placing them on your front line until you have a builder. But I'm like, I don't know if I go with that, right? Because if I've got somebody on my front line ordering 100, I'm more likely to place people underneath that person who's ordering 100 if they're a wellness advocate,
right,
to help build at least my structure of my team and to get them down a little bit further so they're not all sitting on my front line. But yeah, it's hard. Placements are really hard, and each one like has to be decided as best you can, like taking everything into consideration, like who knows this person, and are they going to be on LRP, or do you think they're going to be on LRP? And there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard. So Kaylee, what was your other question though? Just where to place them, because are you putting people just on your front line still at this point? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Essentially. I mean, I think Shelly's got like 4 or 5 down.
Right.
I want to say she's pretty deep, but she's my only builder, so I guess I'm just not sure
right.
how to keep going besides I just keep getting all these people who order the kit or order periodically and then they're just done. So I don't have builders at all yet.
So I would definitely just keep placing them on your front line, especially if none of those people are ordering or doing LRP. Okay. Because you don't want to put people under somebody who's, especially if they're not on LRP, right? So, and now I think our structure in general might get a little bit wider than it is deeper because of the new wholesale customer thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, yeah,
so
there's only so many places you can put them.
How are you getting people to do LRP, like when you're talking to them? I guess maybe I'm just not doing that part right because I don't really have anybody getting on it.
That is hard. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're connecting with them after, right? Like doing some type of wellness consult, or whether or not you actually do a wellness consult, but at least following up with them and seeing like what questions do they have, or what products are they using the most, and what's their favorite one, and what's the one they haven't opened yet they don't know how to use. Just keeping them plugged into continuing education, because if they're still learning about stuff and in connection with you, hopefully, right, they're going to be using their product that either came in their kit or they purchased, and hopefully they're going to be running out of it soon and need to reorder, or they're going to be learning about other products that they want to try or buy. So, sorry, I just had a thought and it totally went. But like, for instance, like our Facebook classes, like that's a great way, or even our Facebook page, right? Like, there's so many different ways there for people to stay plugged into learning about other products. Like even the post I put up there today, did you see that one? Like I just did a random, like, what products we're using right now and why.
Yeah.
And that one totally blew up. Like everybody just started posting about what products they're using and I loved it. And then other people were commenting on their posts or their comments about, you know, have you tried this or why are you using that? And oh, I didn't think about that. I've loved that. That post has just been fun today.
Right.
So just keeping them plugged into stuff and then just letting them know, like, hey, even if you're only going to order like one thing a month or because if somebody starts on LRP, right, obviously that's great if it's over 50 so they can earn the points and the percentage, but letting them know like, hey, this is a great way to work this into your budget, like to just even buy one oil a month so that you can build up your collection. And then obviously getting them into like the consumables, like the vitamins, that's a huge thing for LRP. Because if their people are on the vitamins, then they're hopefully going to be ordering at least, you know, every month, if not every other month, they're taking a half dose. But so that's another big one for LRP. Does anybody else have any other tidbits for Kaylee as far as how do you get your customers on the loyalty rewards program?
I've done incentives a couple times. That's helped a few people move over, but mostly just like you said, the following up.
Yeah. So Stacey, some of the incentives I think she's done has been like if you order, what do? If you have an LRP of 100 or something for a month or two, you give them a book or a diffuser or an oil or something like that. So,
and I usually make it a 2-month thing that they need to do it for 2 months.
Yeah. And sometimes when I've done them in the past, I haven't put a cap on it. Like, I haven't put on like, you know, you have to do a minimum of 50 or 100 or anything like that. I just want them on LRP because then usually when people get on, they're not going to go off as quickly, right? If they just go on for a couple of months, and that's great. They're not going to just call and cancel and get off quickly. So Kaylee, do you think that would help?
I think I've only ever had,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
I've only had 1 or 2 people go off of LRP once they were on it. I haven't had very many people. I've had people that lower it, but once they're on it, the benefits of it. If they'll stay on it for at least 3 months, they'll see the benefits of it, and almost everybody will stay on it to some degree or another.
Yeah. Well, right, because once they're on and they have that 30%, there's no way they want to cancel it, right? Or even if they've worked up to 20%, they're like, man, I do not want to start all the way over.
I think 20% is like the clincher because that's when you really start to pay off with it.
Yep, for sure. It starts to add up for sure. But so, Kaylee, do you think that would help you? I mean, do you feel like you're plugging everybody into continuing ed? Or
I think
are you already doing that?
But they're not necessarily, I don't know.
They're not necessarily what?
Some of them are going, others aren't going, and the ones that are going aren't seeming to really want to order anything every month anyway. I don't know.
So maybe it's just finding out like what is it that interests them or that they want to learn how to do with their oils specifically. So really have to make it personal for them, which is harder, but might be worth it, right? If you've got some people on the front line just hanging out there and not doing LRP.
December.
It's hard, right? Because some people totally don't want to do it because they're like, I'm not ordering every month.
I thought you said.
And then other people are like, yeah, right.
December might be a good
What are you going to say, Stacey?
Promote LRP though, because December has got, well, in the past, December has been where they have the frankincense promo. And so it might be really to really promote the frankincense benefits and, you know, promote your LRP for that. Because then you could say, well, you get the free frankincense and you can start earning points, but just maybe find a really positive way to promote that.
Yeah, like talking about the benefits of frankincense. Well, and then the product of the month too, like, right, that's only an LRP thing. Well, and especially if people get on the vitamins, because the vitamins are a huge discount if you're ordering through LRP. But there's lots of other items too that are only at discount through LRP. So like the shampoo and conditioner, if you buy those in a 2-pack, that's only through LRP that you get the discount. Or anyway, there's a whole section of like LRP only kits. So maybe there's something there that would incentivize them to want to do it. But it is hard because you don't want to like force people to do it, of course, right? You want them to just be able to work it into their budget. So yeah, and maybe also other consumables like the laundry detergent or the soaps or lotion or anything like that too. Like that's another great thing because the lotion you can get a good discount through LRP as well.
The Slim and Sassy protein shakes are another good one too. I have quite a few people that use those regularly.
That's true. Yep, and that's another consumable. So yeah. So that's good. So I would say, Kaylee, like if you wanted to do any type of like incentive, I mean, of course you do not have to, right? But like something that's going to help them use their oils would probably be a good thing to help get them on LRP, like a diffuser or a water bottle, or even like your rice bags or something, like anything that's going to help them like support their oil use or help them use their oils.
Yeah.
So
I'm wondering if
anyway.
I don't know, just doing too much of an incentive when they signed up. I mean, that wasn't a permanent thing. It was just like a couple weeks, but I don't know. Maybe
So what were you doing when they enrolled?
For the month after convention, if they signed up, they got a book and a case to carry them home in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very nice. Like a hardcover book?
What?
Which book were you doing? Like a hardcover?
Yeah, the Life Essentials book.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's super generous.
But that's where I got 4 enrollments in a month. So.
Oh, that's so hard. Because you had some sweet incentives for enrolling.
I know. But I'm not going to do that all the time.
Yeah, no. In fact, and we used to do the books, and now we just do those little, like an A to Z guide or the intro ME guide. And because those are only like $1 or $1.50 if you buy them in bulk, and it's small. That does the trick, right? For most things, I plug them into the Facebook group and say, hey, you can post any questions you have here. You can get the app, or you can buy the book, right? But we used to give away the book too, and now we just don't do that anymore because it's just not cost effective. But yeah, incentives are hard. All right. Well, any other questions though, as far as placements go, or LRP? We should like do a whole call on LRP. We could, anyway, as far as ideas to get people ordering and how to keep them on LRP or ideas for getting them on. I mean, we went over a few, but I'm sure there's more out there.
So are you guys essentially just keeping them all on your front line until you find builders?
We have enough builders to place them under. Like for us personally, is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily, but maybe other ones that aren't as big as you guys are.
I'm not.
Yeah, so
I'm not putting everybody on my front line, but it's bit me in the butt a few times. I'm trying to go for structure, and so I have a couple people that are sort of interested in maybe doing the business, but they order at least 100 PV almost every month. And so I'm taking a risk and putting a few people under them. I mean, I'm not completely building their structure underneath them, but I'll put a couple people under them, and it's Russian roulette. It's kind of a scary thing to do, but I'm really trying to build for structure, and I don't know if I'll be able to continue doing that in the future with this other change.
Right. It's hard. But that's totally what I would do, Stacey. I mean, if I had somebody ordering 100, but I didn't have any other place to put them, then I would do that too and go for structure. But that you're right, because then you can't bill under those people if they're just preferred members, or not preferred members, sorry, wholesale customers. So it is tricky.
It does put volume on my next line.
Right. It totally does.
And so I'm kind of playing that game right now. We'll see if it works for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great plan. I think that's a great way to go. So it is hard. And I guess I just wanted you guys to know, like, with placements, there's no black and white answer. Like, every time it's very different. Every placement you make is really, like, be thought out or planned out or talked out with somebody, like definitely call somebody in your upline and say, hey, talk this through with me. Because most of the time, I should say this, 9 times out of 10, when somebody calls me to talk out a placement, they've already decided, or they decide themselves where they need to go before we end the phone call. It has nothing to do with what I say, but they figure it out just talking it out with me. And it just becomes crystal clear where that person needs to go. I was going to say, Kat, we've done that a few times, right? Like,
Yeah.
just talking it out with somebody helps you decide where they need to go.
Yeah. And then a lot of times you just, if it doesn't work out, you just wait the 6 months and then try to move things around again. So it's a lot of
Yep. Yeah. And for sure. And that's a really good point. Like, things aren't, set in stone too. You can move people around. It is a little bit of a pain, but it is a possibility. It is possible to move people. So they just need to be inactive for 6 months, send in an email, and then they can move. Of course, if they have a downline, that downline does not move with them. But it is possible to move people around, especially if, so like for instance, Kaylee, say you have people who haven't ordered for 6 months, but then decide they want to get on LRP. Well, decide if you want to move them. If they need to be moved somewhere in your organization, then you can have them send in that email to move them somewhere before they get on LRP and start ordering again. But anyway, that is a thing to do. In fact, and occasionally, not very often, but sometimes we have had people who were ordering on LRP and we've had them, cancel their LRP, waited the 6 months and then move them. And we just ordered for them for those 6 months. And then we compensated their points, which is kind of big bucks. You need to have somebody kind of help you do that. But it is a possibility if you have a major move that needs to be made, or somebody's really, really in the wrong spot, then, talk it out with your upline and we can help you figure it out and if it's a possibility or if it's worth it. But just hang in there and just know that everybody struggles with placements and it's okay. It's just part of it. It's hard and it's, we just try our best. We don't have a crystal ball to see who's going to do what and where they should be. And so we just do our best. And like I said, the biggest thing is to keep that enrollership. I think that's the biggest long-term benefit. Well, short-term fast starts, but just keeping that enrollership. I can't express that enough because we had some of our frontline leaders were advised to give up enrollership on a lot of their team members when they were enrolling them and placing them underneath of people. And it's really done some damage to that team. And it's very hard to get that enrollership back. And then anyway, it's just a bit messier.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So let's say you're teaching a class and you've got a person that can't decide whether they really want to just be a sharer or whether they want to be a builder, and they have people at their class that want to enroll. How do you talk to somebody about that?
I'll second that question.
And that is hard, right? Like, so I just had one that kind of happened with. So I taught us, it was a small class, and I had the person who I'm friends with, we were at her house, so she was essentially the host. And then she had 2 other people there. One was outside orders, and one was, they also enrolled. It was her parents. So she had her parents and her sister there. So I'm like, okay, obviously she had no intention of enrolling as a wellness advocate, but I said, would you be interested in that just so I can place your parents underneath of you in the off chance that they decide they want to do this as a business so that you would benefit from that? So she's like, oh yeah, of course, let's do that then. But I kept the enrollership on her parents, even though I placed them under there, only because they were enrolling at the same time, right? I'm the one who's providing the education and the support to all of them individually. So it makes sense for me to be the one to have the enrollership. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do you approach talking to them about it? Because I used to just automatically give enrollership to whoever the hostess was. And I've quit doing that, but I don't want to cause bad feelings either. And so I need to know how to talk to them about it.
Well, I don't think you need to give them enrollership, though, unless they're like starting the business. But if you're there teaching the classes, you're providing all the materials, you're, offering any incentives or like first call specials or anything like that for the class, then I think you should keep enrollership on that stuff. You can turn it over if the person decides they want to do the business, but I think they just need to be placed underneath of them. And then say they want to do their second class, and then you can say, hey, if you want to do LRP and order 100, then you can get paid 20% for anybody who orders from your class, and explain to them how that works. But I don't think you need to have that conversation right out of the gate. Does that answer your question, Cece? I don't know if I'm understanding it exactly.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps, because I've just kind of explained it to them. And the last couple times I've just said, if you want enrollership for this person, you need to be on LRP and you need to be ordering every month for me to over. But I'm thinking about in the future, maybe just not saying anything or offering them saying, if you do the business, I will transfer it over to you as you pick up.
Right. Well, and also, like, if they're not doing LRP, then obviously it's not going to benefit them at all, right? So, for instance, say you have Nicole on your team who's not doing LRP, but say she hosts a class and these people enroll, then it doesn't make any sense to give her enrollership, right? It makes sense for you to keep it because you're the one supporting them, even if they're her direct contact, like her mother or whatever. But certainly, if she ever decides down the road that she wants to do the business, then by all means, you can turn that over to her.
Right.
But
she's the first one I actually talked to about that. About doing a class, and I would keep enrollerships until she picked up.
Yeah.
But she's the first person I talked to about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I say, you can let them know, but it's hard because when somebody's that new, you're the one who's going to be doing the supporting, and you're the one who's supplying the, the class materials and stuff like that. So it makes sense for you to be the one compensated for that.
Right.
Occasionally I have handed it over to somebody if I felt like they needed that motivation. I've really done that a couple of times. Like if I'm like, ooh, I really want this person to see the opportunity that is available, that they could get paid from doTERRA, and I really, really want them to have that paycheck because I want that to see if that would motivate or inspire them to do more with the business. And I have done that a couple of times. And it, once it worked and once it didn't. So
what do you think about saying, let's say you host a class, if you're thinking about doing a business, instead of turning enrollership over to them immediately, maybe just turn that check over to them and let them have a taste of it and then see if they go with it. What do you think about that?
If that's going to be their only hostess like reward, then I think that's fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because like Brooke on our team, she made up a little hostess rewards flyer that's awesome. I'll have to ask her if she'd share it. But she did one where she, let them pick from various gifts or gift options for hosting a class. So like one option was, I think she based it upon how many people were at the class, right? So she's like, okay, if you get, 3 people there, then you can get like, a small diffuser or I can't remember what it was, or a booklet or something, some information or something they could pick. Or, so if they didn't want the diffuser option based upon how many people were at the class, then they could get products. So they picked either diffusers, products, or do you want to earn 20% commissions from the people who are at your class? So, and that's the way it should be. We don't want to be giving away prizes to the hostess or like a gift to the hostess and giving them enrollership. It's one or the other. It's not both. And if we're supplying like I said, the first call or specials, then definitely needs to have that enrollership so that you're compensated for those costs.
Makes sense.
So yeah, so it's good. And this is, we've got to keep in mind, right? Like we don't want to step on toes, but we also have to keep in mind that this is our business and it's not, it's not a charity or a hobby. This is something we're doing with the goal of making money and helping people, of course, as well. That is definitely part of it, but it is a business. So we need to treat it like it is. But anyway, well, does anybody have any other questions? This has been a good call. We had some good Q&A here tonight.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
First person in August. And
Ooh, exciting. Congratulations.
I did not place this person. So does this person get placed automatically? Like, is she on my...
Yeah, so if you enrolled them, they're automatically on your front line.
Okay. And
yep.
I mean, I'm kind of holding back on actually starting the business because I'm kind of like looking for number 2 that would really want to do the business and number 3 that would really want to do the business. Like, I kind of want to go like strategically with people.
I know, and it's so hard. But you do have a few people who end up enrolling and you place on your front line who don't do the business. That's okay, right? Because you do need a few people kind of randomly in between there just to kind of help fill in for volume, or like if you're working on Power of 3, or anyway, just some backup plans too, right? Like it's not a bad idea to have a few extra people as backup, if you will, on your front line or whatever line you're working on.
Okay. Is there a maximum of people you can put on whatever lines?
Nope. You can put as many people as you want on any level you want. So to get paid deeper, you have to rank advance, but it actually goes pretty natural. Like usually you don't have people, on your 6th level when you're only a manager. So it usually progresses along with what your volume would be and how far down they are in your organization. But that's the only drawback or catch, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question though.
So
good question.
What is Tasha's thought process as far as just enroll on your front line and not really, not care about it, not give it a second thought, but what is her, I guess I haven't heard what her thought process is on doing it that way.
Because she doesn't think that it's good to place people under somebody who's not doing the business. Like if they aren't working for it and earning it, then they don't deserve to have somebody kind of placed under them, if you will. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't 100% agree with that. Just because it's not going to benefit you to have all these people just like on a huge line across your front line. And you can get paid more on it if it's further down, especially if they're doing LRP down the line. But yeah, so I think she's just I think her point is basically you just don't want to be building under anybody who's not doing the business. Like they're not investing and doing their part. Does that answer your question, Kaylee?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I just didn't understand where she was coming from as far as not.
Yeah.
Because I kind of agree with you. Like I get enrolling
Yeah.
and then I can move them later, but I'm finding it to be difficult to enroll people and then put them under people who aren't even ordering or doing anything, and then I'm helping them build a business without them building a business. So,
right. And you don't want to put them underneath like we talked about before, right? You don't want to place people under somebody who's not doing LRP. Of course, that makes no sense. But like Stacy said, if she's taking a chance, like she's got somebody placing in 100 LRP every month consistently for 6 months, she's going to take that chance and place that person underneath of the person who's ordering the 100 LRP with the hopes that she can at least go for like a structural bonus or something there.
And you're saying,
and that's the way I tend to think.
Still do that, just keep enrollership.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can place people wherever. I just say keep enrollership because you never know what somebody's going to do.
Right.
Like you may think that you have, enrolled this great person on your front line and they're going to take off, they're saying all the right things and they want to do the business, but maybe in 6 months they've just totally had a change of heart and they've decided they don't want to do it. But you also place somebody else underneath of them who wasn't going to do the business and then did. You just never know.
Right.
You never know how things are going to go.
Well,
so,
either way,
and that will benefit you later.
Right.
So if everybody's on your front line, how successful are you financially with your business? Like, don't you have to
Not
go
really.
Yeah. Don't you have to go down
Yeah.
very successful?
Right.
There?
Right. Because you want to go down, the deeper they go down, the higher the percentages that you get paid up to the 7th level. So, you know, ideally you want as many people as possible on your 7th level and as few as possible on your 1st level, because that's when you're going to get paid the least amount for them. So that's where we're kind of saying, oh, yes, we're kind of disagreeing with that philosophy of just placing them all on your front line until you have somebody doing the business. But
I wonder what your paycheck looks like if, like, Kaylee, for example, has like 20 people on her front line and none on her second. Like, what does the paycheck look like?
Right. It's going to be small because it's only going to be like whatever 2% of everybody on that front line, unless you've got a bonus check of like 50 for people who are doing LRP.
I have like 18 on my front line. And then
You have 18 people on your front line?
Yeah, I've got 2 people that are down to their, I want to say 3rd and 4th level. And I make about enough to pay my LRP a month. That's about where I'm at right now.
So that's still good.
It could be better.
Well, yes, it can always be better, but that's decent. I mean, there's tons of people who just want their oils paid for. But of all those people on your front line, how many of them are on LRP?
1.
2? Just 1?
Just Shelly.
Oh man, that's killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would totally be going through and trying to do wellness consults with those people.
We have the one who just signed up who owns the daycare, and she's going to start doing classes at her daycare. So that could be another big builder, but I think I just need to focus until I find another. I need to find another Shelly.
Yeah.
Not another Shelly, but I need another Shelly.
Right. Oh man. But even any of those, right? They could turn into LRPs if you just did consults with them, like a wellness consult. Even if it's just over the phone. And it can be as simple as hey, tell me what oil what's your favorite oil you're using? And then what's one that you haven't opened yet or that's still full? Which one are you not using? You know, it can be really simple. And then you can just give them a few ideas on how to use those products and then just let them know, hey, well, since you're almost out of lemon, do you know if this is the best way to order? And, you could send them a link about LRP or whatever.
So I'm sorry for my ignorance, but going back to my question about you're enrolling someone, and when do you have to place them?
Okay, that's a great question. So if you enrolled somebody, if you go to your back office, like your doTERRA site, it will show you, I think it's underneath the team tab. And on the left-hand side, there will be a few different options. And one of them will say sponsorship changes. And if you click on that, it will show you anybody that you have recently enrolled who's eligible for a sponsorship change, meaning you can place them somewhere like underneath of somebody else.
Okay.
And it will show you how many days that you have left to do it. And you basically just type in that person's number of wherever you want them to go. And then you just hit confirm, and it will say, are you sure you want to move this person to, this place? Because it will be permanent once you do. And then you just click yes, and then that's it.
Okay, so if you do not do that, and if you do not move them, they end up on your front line, correct?
Yeah, yep. Unless when you entered it in, you put down a different sponsor name, but it will automatically go just on your front line. So that's why it's really important to make sure you do those changes and because that's the worst case. If you ask anybody, well, and I know Kat has a few of them too, she popped off now, but sometimes people just accidentally end up on your front line because you forget to move them. You're like, oh man, I missed the 14th day. I totally forgot it. And now they're stuck on my front line. But if you can catch it within a couple of days, if it's say 15 or 16, you can email placements, and a lot of times they will honor that. Just say, oh my gosh, you know what? I totally missed the day. Is there any way you can still move this person for me? And 9 times out of 10, they'll honor that for you if you just missed it by a day or two and you send the email in, so it's dated.
That's great.
It's shortly after your 14th day. or their 14th day, I should say. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good. This is good. Lots of good questions. Manon, don't be sad or like apologetic for asking easier, if you will, or basic questions, because it's good. I mean, we all are on all different levels, and most people still have questions at whatever level they are about that. Okay, so Stacy asked, so Manon, do you understand what a sponsor is? Do you understand the difference between sponsor and enroller?
I'm getting my head wrapped around that. Catherine explained it a little bit to me, and I think I got it. I think so.
Okay. So like so what's the one person that you've enrolled? What's her name?
Annie. Her name
Annie?
is Annie. Yeah.
Okay. So say you enrolled, Sally or whatever, but she's your contact, you would keep the enrollership. But say you wanted to place her under Annie, then you could then Annie would become her sponsor.
Okay. But you would only do that if Annie wanted to do the business, right?
Right. Yep.
Otherwise, you'd keep her on your front line.
Keep her on your front line. Yep.
Got it.
Or like Stacy said, she's got somebody who's ordering 100, so she's taking the chance and placing them underneath of those people who are ordering 100, just for the hopes that it will help with her structure. Because if somebody's ordering 100, they have the ability to get paid. So then they're at least benefiting from those people that you're placing underneath of them.
Okay.
If they're a wellness advocate. I know it changes the game a lot now that we can do wellness customers. It's very different.
I feel like it's the more popular option. People just end up signing up as that anyway, because it's less intimidating.
Yep. Well, and it defaults to that, right? Like if they're enrolling on their own, it just defaults to the wholesale customer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If they're enrolling on their own?
Well, like say they just go to through the website, your website, and enroll themselves. It just defaults to the wholesale customer instead of the wellness advocate.
Oh, that's not good.
Because like 85%, I think it's maybe 83% of the people who have wholesale memberships don't have anything to do with the business side of it. It's a very small percentage of people who do anything with the business at all.
Could you imagine what convention looked like if more of those people were builders?
I know.
Oh my God.
It'd be crazy. They're crazy. Well, and a lot of those people don't do the business, but have had people placed underneath of them, right? So that percentage is probably even a little skewed and isn't very true. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's see. Stacey said she heard it's only about 6% that do the business. So there you go. That's probably a more true and accurate number. So it's 83 was the last number I heard. Percentage of people have nobody placed underneath of them. So for instance, say Stacey, you've got people who are ordering 100 and you've placed them underneath of them, but they don't consider themselves doing the business, but they're still counted in that 17% of whatever for people who are. So yeah, it is different. Yeah, it's not very many people, but that is a huge testimony of the fact that it's a decent product, right? Because most network marketing companies are all about the business opportunity. And doTERRA is all about the product. It's not about come listen to this great, business plan that I have to tell you. Come listen to this great product. And the business is just kind of an afterthought for most people. So it really shows you that it's such a great product. So yeah, Stacy says customers bring us money, builders help us grow. And yes, that is very, very true, because we want lots of customers for sure. We love to have loyal customers because they grow it. They grow the business, or they grow the volume, right, that we need. So it's good. We love loyal customers. And they can actually bring you a lot of referrals, which then can bring you more customers. So it's good. It's good. Okay, so next, do you guys have any more questions?
1,000,001, but I won't go through it tonight.
We don't want to overload anybody's brain, right? I don't want to, but yeah, but if you have any more, Manon, please, ask, do you have any right off?
No, I think I'm good for now. I just,
Okay.
you know what I worry about is that, for example, Annie will tell all her friends that this is great, and then they'll go to my website and sign up by themselves, and then we'll have this problem that they'll just be
well, so then if they sign up on themselves, then you can still place them underneath of her.
okay.
So you would have the 14 days to move them underneath of her. So the only problem would be that, like, say if you felt like she needed to have the enrollership, then that would be the trickier part. So you just would have to like hurry and get emails in to doTERRA to have the enrollership turned over. But you would only want to do that if she had like 100 LRP in.
Mm-hmm. Do I get notification when people go to my website and sign up that way?
Yep. Yeah, you do. So you get a notification if you enroll anybody. You get a notification if anybody placed anybody underneath of you. You get an email then. And you'll also get a notification email if somebody upgrades their account from a wholesale customer to a wellness advocate.
Okay. Because I know when I did enroll any, it didn't send me an email, and then I called doTERRA.
Oh, did it?
No, and I said, what's going on? And they said, oh, we're sorry about that, and here's your commission anyway, and blah, blah. But it didn't send me an email. I'm worried that, I don't know, I'll have to double check where my preferences.
Yeah, I would maybe call in and have them double check and make sure your email settings are like accurate and everything. But yeah, I get an email anytime anybody has enrolled, or if somebody's placed under me, or if there's anything, I get an email in there. So I wonder if they have your email wrong or something.
Yeah.
I had the same problem this past year, and I didn't know I had someone enroll, and it took me like 2 months to figure it out when I went through my genealogy. I'm like, I have an extra person.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not cool. Oh my gosh. And so what did they say, Kaylee, when you called? Or did you call?
I actually just found it in my back office, and I texted her. I was like, oh my God, when did you sign up? And she goes, like August. And I was like, oh my God. So I ended up just adding her.
So did you ask doTERRA about it?
No, I went in and made sure all my emails were correct. So that's what I would tell Manon to do too.
Okay, I'll do that.
So, and were your emails all right?
Yeah, but my old email had been hacked, so I don't know if maybe that had something to do with it.
Oh man, that's horrible. So yeah,
at least it's a friend, so it was all good.
yeah, because that would be horrible, right? If like, yeah, you didn't know somebody enrolled. But yeah, I get all my emails. Stacey, have you ever had a problem with that, not getting your emails when somebody enrolled or a sponsorship?
I've had all my notifications work okay. I think the only weird thing I had was the first time somebody ordered retail on a back office that I didn't understand it. I think that, and that was just on me, not on anybody else. But that's the only weird thing I've had.
Right. Because that is confusing. If somebody just places a retail order, you're like, what's going on? Because it shows up differently. Ugh.
Yeah, I would definitely check your email.
Yeah, so call and make sure your email is correct and the settings are right. But if you ever have any weird issues, I mean, this is for all of you guys, right? If you ever have any weird issues of something that's like not resolved, or it just doesn't set right with you, or you feel like it's not the right answer, let me know, because so we have access to account managers. Well, and Kaylee, your mom does too, but and they can help us with things that seem impossible at times. So just know that you kind of have like an inside scoop, or an inside man, I don't know, whatever the word is, but that we can help make things happen sometimes that shouldn't be happening. So, and Stacey says to see if maybe it went to a junk folder. That's another option too. Maybe the email went to like your junk.
No, not for me.
Not for you. Ugh, darn it. We'll give them a call for sure and figure that out. Okay, so guys, what do you want to do next week? Any requests?
Can we go through, this is maybe a question for Catherine, never mind.
So what is it? You said you're going to ask Catherine instead?
Yeah, my problem is that there's a lot of francophones in our area and that could sign up underneath me. And it's like, I wonder if we have the business tools to do that. I mean, we're not in Quebec, we're in Canada, but Annie is in Quebec and I know she'll be signing up some other people and I'll need to do classes in French and so on. So
you're looking for like a business literature or like any product information or anything in French?
Yeah, it's going to have to be like the full realm of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard and there's not a lot out there and it's so discouraging. It's so discouraging. I've called and talked to Canada, a couple, like Canada part of doTERRA a couple times. I'm like, guys, you don't understand. Like, you can't get into this country only with English. It needs to be both. But, and maybe they've made some changes that I'm not sure about. Definitely ask Catherine. I know there are a few things that you can get in French, like, what did I find?
I think class 101 or something that's in French.
Yeah, and you don't need a ton of tear sheets, of course, or anything like that. But yeah, I think, are the product guides in French?
Yeah, I think Catherine sent me one the other day.
Okay, maybe it's not an updated one. But then they also have, they used to have a little intro ME guide in French.
Okay.
So maybe ask her about that. Like, it's just a little small pocket reference guide. And that's nice, but it is hard. Because I've had that issue before when we went and we taught some classes. Because obviously, so where are you? Where are you in Canada, Manon? Are you in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like 50-50 there, it seems anyway. Is it?
Sure is. Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. Yeah. So you definitely need some French materials. Yeah, let me know what she says. I'm sure she probably knows better than I. And you can go to a website called doterratools.com. I think it's doterratools.com. Oh my gosh. But anyway, but there you can look for tools by market or tools by language. So you could look for French or you could look for under Canada. Because that's the other part too, is that like your pricing is different, right? So you have to have things into the right prices. That's right. Okay, Stacy, thank you. So Stacy said doTERRA Tools takes you to doTERRA.com now. That's what I was afraid of. Okay, so yeah, so it's going to be under doTERRA.com, but you can still look for, like, I think it's still tools by market or tools by language, and see what pulls up there for you. So that's cool. All right. Oh yeah. So Kaylee, that's right. We were going to do vendor shows. I'm glad you said that. So next week we were going to do a little call on vendor shows, and I was going to just kind of pass on some info from Tasha that she had done for how to do a vendor event. So just for fun, that'd be more like for selling, like to retail customers, marketing to retail, and how to get contacts from that. So that sounds great. Let's do that. That sounds good. I'll learn because I'll have to research it out. So I need to. So that's perfect. Does that sound good to everybody? And then just let me know whatever topics you guys want to cover. Obviously, I can come up with some, but I'd rather have you pick. So just let me know whatever you guys want to do.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being on, guys.
Thank you.
And